Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine, and I vlog daily to keep you updated on the real-life situation in my country as this war with Russia continues. And today is a kind of vlog that I don't like to record because I'm going to tell you about the losses and Russian terrorist attacks on the territory of my beautiful, free and independent country, Ukraine. If you're new to the channel, go check some of my videos, and if you like them, subscribe, because the world needs to know more about Ukraine and about Russian crimes committed here daily. I wanted to start with this ordinary introduction that imagine yourself a spring day, early spring day, when the temperature is rising. It's like plus 14, plus 15 right now, and people are happy to go outside. The sun is shining and it's getting warmer, and you can hear birds twittering, and it all seems so peaceful and so nice, because spring is always an optimistic season for the majority of us. We depend on nature, but we also depend on evil nature of Russians, because on this ordinary day, on the 22nd of March, many Ukrainians, civilians, died because of Russian terrorist attacks. It all began at night with drone Shaheds that were flying above Kyiv. Air defense in Kyiv is pretty good, and they managed to shoot them and to stop any possible attack. But close to Kyiv, there is a small city or village, Rzhizhzhia, where there is a hostel full of civilians and ordinary people living, and it exploded because of one of the Shahed drones, and many people were wounded and 7 people died. And that is on an ordinary day in Ukraine. And 9 are wounded. Among these 9 people, 1 is a child, and 7 people are dead while they were sleeping in their small village, not doing harm to anyone, in the 21st century. Also, the attacks continued, and the beautiful city of Zaporizhzhia was shot today with Russian missiles. And I have posted the video that Zelensky shared on his Instagram channel, so I shared it on my Instagram. And you can subscribe, by the way. If you don't know, you can follow me on Instagram, and the link is on the description of a channel. Zaporizhzhia is the city that suffers a lot from orcs. This time they targeted 2 high-story buildings full of families and full of people. It all happened approximately at 11 o'clock, and then a second explosion 20 minutes later. And go check this video, you can find it everywhere, because it demonstrates this totally normal European city, trading center, cars driving, kids walking, and then huge explosions in the center of the building. I have chosen for a thumbnail of my today's video a photo from Zaporizhzhia, from the house that was targeted by Russian missile, that building that did not collapse fully, and you can see a Ukrainian flag on one of the balconies that survived this terrorist attack. Definitely that's a good sign, but statistics is bad, because we have lots of people wounded. Many of them are in really bad condition, and one person has died, and some are in really dangerous conditions. And that was an ordinary day in a Ukrainian city. And our President Zelensky said that he doesn't want the world to get used to that. And that made me think a little bit more. And I remember that I was always emotional when I learned about a terrorist act anywhere in the world, in Asia, in Africa, in Europe. And when I was reading the news, when I was watching videos, and I saw people running, I saw blood running, I saw the wounded, and even if there were no victims, or the number of victims, such a bad sentence, but it's so real today in Ukraine, the number of victims was small, I always felt really bad, because it is so wrong, it is so against normal human nature. and I felt so vulnerable, and I could like feel literally sick, like when I'm super nervous. I feel like sick in this American meaning of the word, how to, like when you're eager to. And I would remember that act for months. I would think about danger to be on the streets of some cities. I would think about the evil and anger and narrow-mindedness of the people who organize these teracts. And I always believe these are like exclusions, very bad events that happen rarely, and they shouldn't happen. And I was asking myself, why are they happening? And I would remember it for a long period of time, and emotionally that meant a lot for me. And now terrorist acts happen in Ukraine daily. Think about it. Imagine like 2 or 3 years ago that you'd learn about a terrorist explosion in one of the Ukrainian cities with I don't know, 11 person wounded and 1 person dead. You would talk about that for months. You would think about that for months. And here, with this new reality of war, we adapt and we think, okay, only 1 person died. Okay, only 11 wounded. What will happen next? You know, I even hear people saying like, okay, we've survived this missile attack, so perhaps a couple of next days will be safer. Every person's life matters. Every crime is huge, and Putin can go to hug 1 million times because he did so many bad things here that it is not enough of his life and life of all people who support him to erase and to punish them for what they are doing. So for me, it is very important. I even forget about that myself, but I want to remind you, it's not normal. Every day in Ukraine, we have dozens of terrorist acts committed by a state that is a terrorist state. Russia is a terrorist state with Putin and cohort terrorists, and they should be stopped the way terrorists are stopped. You all know well how that is done. No peace negotiations, no China peace plans, no ideas what shall we do with Russia, how can we live with it. These are terrorists. We did not think, how can we live with Osama bin Laden? We knew he must be stopped forever. Putin must be stopped forever, because a collapse of Russia is a challenge. But Russia that continues acting the way it does, with people who support everything it does, is a tragedy. So I prefer challenges to tragedies, challenges to crimes, challenges to daily deaths in my country, and not only, because such evil expands very quickly. So please remember that every day someone dies in Ukraine just because they are Ukrainian, just because Russians are crazy, evil, violent people that must be stopped. And you know, it is not about Russophobia. You've offered me so many great words, but today's Russia is a true mental and physical disease that can spoil life of the whole planet. And we have to remember that, and we have to commemorate those people who believed that this spring morning with sun in Ukraine is not their last. But someone in Russia decided it is. And it was not just Putin. It is not only Putin who designs the missiles, who makes these missiles on factories, who likes the idea of missiles sent to Ukraine, and who presses the button. There are hundreds of thousands of them, millions of them, and that is a problem, a serious problem that we cannot ignore. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your words of advice. Thank you for standing with Ukraine. Thank you for buying me coffees and becoming my patrons. I value that a lot. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and soon we will reach 50,000 subscribers. I cannot believe it. This means a lot to me. Of course, the topic of my vlog is very sad and there is nothing to celebrate apart from our community and friendship and support that I and Ukraine receive from you daily. Slava Ukraini!